market makers expected move and then simply no higher. There's still a big synthetic short at 5,900 that's keeping Gamma pretty negative under that strike, and hence very difficult to climb over. They did make a push for it earlier and failed. No, ultimately ended up just being a very nothing day. But indexes are up, not much more than they were last night, but a little bit. Nasdaq leading the way and Dow down on the day. Dollar fell back a little, which eased rates at the top end of the curve, but not at the bottom so much. The 3 month up a little bit today. The auctions for the 3 and 6 weren't particularly great. I think the 3 came in at 442 and the 6 month came in at 431. So nothing really interesting there. Net long term tick flows increased by about 100 billion. Foreign bond investment quadrupled over the prior month, and net capital flows also like quadrupled over the prior month. So a little bit of data there at the end of the day. ES kind of bounced back to the neutral range, but failed to break above 59.27. I wouldn't even consider that breakout really bullish. But we do have support, right? And if we have support, then bulls can start to lever things up and try to push back to the upside. And we may see a little bit more of that tomorrow, especially running into NVIDIA earnings as volatility and underlying expands. We may see the indexes move up a bit. Although Nvidia is the only really important earnings this week, it is arguably the most important earnings for tech that had kind of not a great earnings season so far. Dollar down, yields up a little into the very end of the day, but they did not climb back to positive. Commodities up quite a bit today. Silver leading the way on precious metals, but gold not far behind. Mentioned yesterday on the member stream that gold had probably found a little bit of support on this longer term trend, and then it did get a bounce. How high this bounce goes will really be pretty important. So yeah, we'll kind of see where that ends up. I had a little bit of a tough time pushing up higher earlier, but maybe a retest of the upper trend, and then as long as dollar stays elevated, we probably won't see too much interest pile into gold. But if dollar were to suddenly drop due to any kind of interest rate change or something like that, or maybe later this week when Yuta comes out and speaks on behalf of the BOJ, that could set off some fears and drive the dollar further down. Some of which is already being priced in. Correlation, that's not right. Correlation pretty flat today, with the larger spike on Friday. However, 1 month correlation still kind of breaking down a little bit. 3 month isn't moving too much. Leverage on the carry, fairly flat. Looks like 8.5x, and then not too much movement on the shorter dated end. Forward yield on volatility, however, fell to -2 today. So it looks like they are starting to push down a little bit on those volatility expectations, and that could also be a sign that this bottom is starting to turn around a bit. Move just slightly over 100 still. Skew kind of bounced back a little bit. If that continues up today, that could also be another sign of a little bit of bullishness. We should get a bear rally off of this drop. I'm just not sure if today was the extent of that. Like if it gets hung up at 5,900 and we're just simply unable to push over it, then we're not gonna, like, the bear rally is not gonna take us higher without something to drive momentum, like Nvidia earnings. So be careful of that, especially if you're trying to play the downside. Here you can kind of see just how aggressive that suppression on volatility is getting. We're now at 52% correlation between cash VIX and VIX, and I mean a little bit of this is due to the VIX expiration that's coming up as they kind of um, like like VX gets closer to cash VIX and the spread narrows, but not all of this is just the spread narrowing, right? Someone's definitely still shorting volatility really hard. Fed fund futures now pricing in point 0.4 cuts, 0.44 cuts. So barely up today, like 0.005, no real movement. What the fuck is this? Oops. Spread between the 10 and 2 year slightly down today, but also almost no move. There's not a lot of data this week, so I don't expect any of these to change very much. On the technical side of things, our bounce off of the EMA 30, or roughly off of the EMA 30, has not led to a breakout. This is a fairly low volume bounce that failed to break out. This may be a sign that we get a continuation down. It may not be right away though, but the fact that this bounce is so weak really says a lot about buyers and a range where we would expect to be finding them. Honestly, this down here was pretty supportive. Actually, this whole range was kind of supportive, and so the fact that we're just not getting a lot of buyers here buying the dip is kind of interesting. That might take some time to break down, but I would suspect that that'll possibly break down to the 50, especially if we continue to not find any buyers. That's the 50 MA, which is right around what 57.81, and that would be that 57.67 test that we're kind of keeping an eye on the daily, weekly. Not very important on the monthly time frame. 56.69 is far more important, but some effect if the 67 range is lost. Do we break down before Thanksgiving or after? I would expect volume is going to continue to decline into the holidays. This part of the year is notoriously slow, just because everyone's going on vacation and kind of stepping away for a while, and so volume in the market tends to overall kind of drop. Unless there's like a big event or something, like NVIDIA earnings. I made 3K this morning and then quit trading, like forever. Nice. Walking away a winner. Kicking myself for not getting more puts when SPX is at 6K and VIX is 14.5. Did I miss my chance? Or is vol going to continue to be elevated into Jan? I mean, I think they're trying really hard to turn this around. I don't know if it's going to be successful, but they're definitely shorting the fuck out of volatility. So I wouldn't be surprised if there was another, 6,000 test or maybe higher in the future before this all falls apart. Are you bullish on NVIDIA? I mean, last quarter revenues slowed down a little bit. This quarter revenues might be flatter, but there's still a chance they beat. Next quarter, I think there's a chance they miss. I don't really think there's a chance this quarter that they miss badly, but the market may not react positively to continued decline in expectations, right? NVIDIA's again priced for perfection. So anything that falls short of that, or changes those forward outlooks, is gonna cause people to sell. All right. Anyway, that's it for today. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good night. Later.